Finally, I can do this. What started as a joke by NZXT slapping a little monitor onto everything that couldn't escape quick enough has developed into everybody throwing a 10+ inch monitor onto everything that is supposed to stand still. And now it's Corsair's turn. This is the Xeneon Edge, Corsair's multifunctional all-rounder screen. It's 14.5 inch in diagonal, the image is crisp, it does what it is supposed to do, and if I say multifunctional, I mean it's a fully usable touchscreen, and I'm trying not to pull any fingerprints on it for the video. Now, the Xeneon lineup by Corsair is apparently nothing new. Corsair did monitors in the past, not a lot of them, and I wasn't aware until I googled the name, but this isn't just another monitor. This is supposed to be a mini monitor to show off additional stuff and be somewhat flexible in the way you can achieve that. But before we get to the use cases, the Xeneon Edge arrives in a somewhat Corsair style of box. Everything feels nice and higher end. On the inside we'll find the Xeneon screen itself, of course, a cleaning microfiber cloth, as well as an USB-C to C, HDMI to DisplayPort, and USB-C to internal USB 2.0 cable, and of course this stand. Mounting wise, the Xeneon supports a surprising amount of different approaches to get it installed somewhere. The most obvious, and to me the most useful, is as a desk extension. For that you just clip the magnetic stand onto the back and there you go. It doesn't even matter which way you orient it because it's just self-adjusting. There you go. Not light. Yeah, there you go. And then we got the 360mm mounting, because on the back side there are holes for the standard 360mm hole spacings. So if you've got a case with, for example, a 360mm side intake, you could just screw it in there or in the front, as long as you've got something like glass in front of and anything that doesn't block the screen. And all of that is also helped by the fact that parts of the back are magnetic. So technically you don't even really need the 360mm mounting. All you actually need is just a metal plate, and you can just slap it on there. Then there is also the arm mount. There are two 1/4 -20 inch, yeah, all of these like camera equipment screw standards are so confusing to somebody who doesn't measure a distance by looking at his feet. Anyway, there are two of them, so you can use Elgato's or any other standard desk arm to put the monitor wherever you want. And then there is Corsair's newest hobby, showing off features that don't exist yet, because it would have made so much sense to just slap that thing onto the side of a frame 4 or 5000D and have the monitor be sitting there, useful AF, without taking up any desk real estate at all. But you know, asterisk not available for all cases, asterisk 2 already right now. But trust us, we will release this adapter at some point later, which is so infuriating because there is a Corsair 4000D sitting there, a Corsair 5000D sitting there. It was waiting for this. It was waiting for this. The monitor's physical location aside, it also needs to run. In the back we got two plugs, a USB-C and HDMI, both of which are mandatory, kinda mandatory. The Type-C is meant for power, either using an external USB-C using this cable or internal with this one. Then to actually get something onto the monitor, we got HDMI, which will need to be connected to either a dedicated GPU or the motherboard if you've got a GPU on the CPU. And either way, it's on the backside of your PC, so for those of you who are planning to use this monitor externally, it's just no issue. But if you're mounting this inside of your PC, hope for a hole or get your drills out. And as a small side note, the Xeneon Edge also supports USB-C DisplayPort alternative mode, so if your PC allows it, like in this case the mini PC that I've got just sitting there allows it, yeah, you can also run everything only on the USB-C cable and completely ditch the HDMI DisplayPort cable. And all of that to get an image. A 14.5 inch diagonal, 372 by 120mm size, 256 by 720 pixel, 183 pixels per inch, 60 Hz crisp and hella bright image. And if it wasn't for LG's trademark, this thing would be called an IPS screen, but trademarks exist, so it's called an AHVA's panel, which according to Corsair is functionally the same, but I don't really care. It's bright, it's sharp, and I love it. Now, by default, the screen will just be in standard screen mode. After all, it's just hooked up technically like a regular screen to the GPU, so it's exactly what Windows will detect, just a regular screen with the weirdest aspect ratio anybody has ever seen. And yes, you can use that thing just as that, a regular screen. Either use it as an extension, maybe even some YouTube videos on the side whilst you're gaming, or display some stats using the usual software. Speaking of software, of course there is software, but as a surprise to me, this is not an Elgato thing, it's a Corsair thing, hence we go back to iQOO. Good old iQOO. You can use it to display an image, video, slideshow, or add some app launch buttons using the touchscreen, very cool. Or do exactly what you would expect from a mini monitor, Twitch chats, sensor data, volume and media control, and my favorite one, nagging Windows suicide motivators. Of course, everything is as customizable as you would expect. You can change how the data is presented, change out the colors, and so on and so forth. And we even got multi-page support, which is acting out if you swipe the screen, which is also kind of cool. But if you're thinking that you could just ditch iQOO because all you want is another screen, it's a yes and no. The screen part works perfectly fine, but touchscreen doesn't. Until you launch iQOO and that touch calibration test, you will get the weirdest stuff going on. Basically, wherever you touch the screen, the touch will happen wherever your cursor is at that time. So it's not really what you would expect, and it's you know, you are forced to run the software at least once to calibrate the touchscreen. And with that, I think we got the base of the product pretty much covered. It's a 14.5-inch mini monitor touchscreen, which can be installed using various ways in different locations. And that's what Corsair is selling, and the product does exactly that. Plus it feels pretty premium, and I mean everything, the screen and the stand. And now let's get to the opinionated part of the video. I got this thing roughly 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's been sitting on my main working desk ever since, and right after this video it's going back there and it's staying there until the monitor just burns out. But before I hype this thing too much, there are also negatives. One of which is the stand orientation. It just can't stand upright. I mean, sure, I could use a mic arm, but I don't want to use a mic arm, and that's kind of a bummer. Then it gets hot. I mean, the screen itself, it's not like it's burning hot or untouchable, but as I've got it sitting right in front of my keyboard where I can reach it, I can feel the heat being emitted by the entire thing. I mean, my three Samsung Pro Arts, the 4K, the big 32 inches, they combined do not create the same amount of heat as this thing alone. And as a last never-ending story, iQOO. When the program is running, cool, everything is nice. It's not that I love iQOO, but it works. But as soon as my PC wakes up from sleep, iQOO crashes. Happens only when the monitor is attached. If the monitor is not attached, nothing happens. But no, for some reason, if the monitor is attached to the PC, as soon as the PC wakes up, iQOO just crashes. But the funny thing is, though, nothing changes. The monitor does exactly what it used to do before the sleep cycle, but iQOO crashes. And my last nagging point is this switch. This thing within iQOO is what you need to use if you want to turn off iQOO overlay of whatever widgets you are displaying on the monitor, or in other words, it's the Windows screen toggle. Turn it off and you've got Windows, turn it on and you've got whatever Corsair allowed you to do there. The button itself is fine, but it is just an overlay. So what will inevitably happen is that if Windows is put into a position where it hides every screen, or everything on every screen, it will also hide the overlay, which is, yeah, just weird. Or you can lose your Windows or your mouse in that thing and don't find it back. Technically, it's just a screen overlay. And the one thing that bothers me about this is that there isn't any way to switch between overlay and Windows without using iQOO. Like, what I would like to happen is an iQOO update that allows me to create another slide with nothing on there and nothing being Windows. And then I could just slide to get into Windows or slide back to get the cool looking graphs. That would make the product so much better, way better. And with the negatives out, that thing is great. Showing off some random stats is just satisfying AF, but I didn't expect this thing to be as useful as it turned out to be. This thing being a touchscreen means I can do all kinds of stuff. Of course, still within limits of Windows's crappy touchscreen support. Long touch for right click, it's just annoying as hell. That's not on Corsair. They rely on whatever Windows allows them to do, and what they allow is crap, so yeah. there's that. But having the additional touchscreen right where your fingers are is a blast for working. My best use case so far is in Premiere Pro, where a big chunk of my main screen was traditionally being used for the effects and color correction window, two things which are now gone and permanently on my mini screen, giving me my main screen back, the full main screen. I love that. And it's not just that, because it's a touchscreen, so I can adjust the bars with my fingers, which is, to my surprise, is a lot more intuitive and precise than I would have thought. And it's not just Premiere Pro. If you are programming, you can have the terminal output down there giving you your entire screen back, or a calculator. It's ridiculous how happy it made me, because I had to do some paperwork some time ago, and how happy it made me to have a calculator permanently open on this thing and not being forced to reopen it, go to the taskbar, search for it, and then reopen it, and just having it there permanently. It was ridiculously useful. Now, for who is this thing? I can see two categories of people. The gamers / showing off. I mean, having this either on the inside of a case or just on the desk and showing off stats just looks cool. And if you're willing to spend the money just to do that, more power to you. And then there are the production use cases where I see this being extremely useful for anything that requires you having something permanently open and visible, but not necessary half the time. Basically the entire Adobe suite, programming, music creation, and you don't have to go that specific. For example, we use Planyway to plan out our day, and if I'm not actively working on a project like in Premiere Pro, I just like to have my daily schedule on the Xeneon Edge all day long, so that when I need to, or I want to see what is up next, I just need to look down. Okay, I know I have, 30 minutes time left. Let's continue whatever I'm doing. It's very satisfying having something there permanently without losing one of or part of one of your screens. And that pad with the touchscreens, as crappy as it is on our Windows, it works. It frees up my screen real estate permanently, and I'm not willing to give it up anymore. And the joke for me is the price. This thing retails for 259 euros, which on one hand might sound ridiculous. I mean, for that price I could get a 32-inch monster. But on the other hand, it's not just a screen. I mean, it's like another layer of control when combined with the touchscreen functionality. A bit like an Elgato Stream Deck, like the extreme version of an Elgato Stream Deck, and the functionality that comes closest would be the Stream Deck Plus, which, if I can, like, give me back the cable. There you go. The Stream Deck Plus, which costs like 230 euros. And let's be honest, if we put a Stream Deck Plus next to this one feels like a Motorola flip phone, whilst the other one was just introduced by Steve Jobs. So would I get it? Yes, I would get it. Not for everybody. 260 euros is still 260 euros. That's a lot of money. But from a productivity standpoint, I'm not giving it up anymore. I'm gonna keep using it professionally, so yes, I would get one. I just would. But okay, this should be everything on the Corsair Xeneon, and at this point a huge thank you to Corsair for sending this one over. Oh, on a side note, we have a Discord server, so if you wanna join, the link is down below. And we got channel membership, so if you are planning to sell your soul for an OG poop emoji, that's one way to go. But if not, I'm also releasing the content to all members 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Except for the NDA stuff, because, you know, I don't want to get sued. Additionally, you can rest assured that the income will not only keep the channel afloat, but it will also serve to send a farewell letter to Elgato. Kinda sad how an entire company's main product line can be made obsolete because the parent company had a funny idea. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to keep going, have a look at the Corsair build we made a while ago. Hope to see you on the next one. Bye bye.